So I'm doing a video back to back, and it is about 3 o'clock in the morning. So I know my voice sounds kind of scratchy here. The allergies are kicking in full force tonight, and insomnia also is kicking in. So, anyways, it's not going to be until in the morning when I release these videos. And I just happened to listen to Natasha's video. Couldn't sleep. So I went ahead and listened to the video she put out. It was replay. I believe it was from earlier on today. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell does she want from everybody? Seriously, you think you're doing the right thing, right? When somebody, I don't, I talk about behaviors, okay? I'm not an awareness channel. So that's part of what I do besides all the other cheesy videos. But, some other creators, when some people do some awful things, they'll call it out, right? And if it's just really absolutely horrible, and some creators, no matter who does it, no matter which side it is, some creators, it's just so bad that they'll call it out. Some people just don't. They're so loyal. I talked about that in my last video. Sorry, my voice is really cracking here. But I don't have to be asked to call out certain things. I just think it's the right thing to do, And I'm sure other people feel the same way. But on one of Natasha, what went down, what was said about her daughter who has nothing to do with YouTube, that was disgusting, right? And she did ask people to call it out. Now, I didn't hear that portion of the video or that little whatever until after I already made a community post. And I'm sure others, didn't hear that either. They just made a community post or a video because they felt like it was the right thing to do. And that was just something that, either they like Natasha and they're going to support her and they're going to call it out, or they might not like Natasha and it touched them in some way or another. You don't say those kind of things about an innocent woman who is carrying a baby, right? Or it might just be someone that's kind of neutral. And it was worth calling out. But she did ask. She asked. She's like, for all of you out there that have channels, if you don't call this out, you ain't got no morals, basically, right? So then when people did do it, I'm listening to this video that she put out, and she's basically degrading some people that called it out. So, what the hell? Are you, on one hand, you're saying you have no morals. Why aren't you, I want to see everybody calling this out. Stand up for my innocent daughter. But on the other hand, you're saying, well, if you call it out, you have a motive, right? That's what we're seeing. So you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. And I know she was talking about Granny, because Granny did call it out. For whatever reason, I don't know why this is one thing that Granny did call out. There's been other things that have been done that Granny didn't call out, but this one touched Granny. Maybe it's because she's a mother and she went, she's been through a couple of pregnancies. She only knows her own heart, all right? But she called this one out and said, I'm not okay with this. But Natasha calls her out for calling it out. Make that make sense. And says she has a motive for doing it. And it's not a good motive. She didn't do it because she has morals. She has an agenda. And then I was looking at some of the chat, right? And they were saying the same thing. And she's like, I'm not giving her credit for calling that out. And then, some of the other people that are like her buddies, they made posts or videos too. They have an agenda too. So what do you want now, Natasha? When something like this happens and you're asking people to call it out, should they not do it now? Because you're going to think that they have a motive. Or even if they make a community post or video, before you even ask, should they not do it because they might have a motive? I think Natasha, again, don't quote me, said that they're just doing it to make themselves look good. Really? Because some of these people don't like you at all. So what do they really have to gain? What do they have to gain from it? Not a damn thing. Not that I know of. I mean, there could be things behind the scenes. I don't know. So again, I ask you, should it be called out or shouldn't it be? On one hand, you're asking for it to be. On the other hand, you're degrading when it does happen. You can't win with Natasha. You can't. And just like on my last video, I said, she doesn't call anything out. Unless it's people in her community. People that she cares about. Right? It makes no sense. And that's why I'm doing this video. It's exhausting. It is absolutely exhausting to try to understand what some of these people want. Do you want us to feel sorry for you? Do you want us to call out the bad behavior that some do to you or your families? Do you want us to ignore it? What do you want? I don't know. You say you want one thing, but then you don't. Then you degrade those that do something. I mean, it makes no sense. I guess maybe we should, when the bad behavior happens, everybody has a motive. So maybe we should just ignore it, right? And not say a word. Just ignore it. Because she's not going to do it for anybody else, right? She's not. But I always said 2 wrongs don't make a right. I'm still going to call it out. I'll still call it out. But I'm just saying, she wants to degrade and some of the people that really don't like Granny, that just you know, they got in my opinion, they got an obsession with her. You don't see them in the chat that often, and they have to sneak in there and put in their little comments. And then she's playing the clip, the really awful one, you know, with the voices and CJ and Granny, and one thing that I have to say is the chat was divided half and half. I have to say that some of them were saying some horrible things about CJ and Granny, okay, as this was going on. And what I'm seeing is, yeah, you know, of course, Granny is not going to say nice things about Natasha. They weren't horrible things. She wasn't calling her a bitch or a see you next Tuesday or anything like that. You know, Natasha calls her that all the time. And, you know, sometimes Granny does the same. Well, calls her a bitch. I haven't, you know, I don't even know if she really calls her, I don't know. Maybe in the past. I don't hear it that often. I haven't really heard these two go at each other lately. I mean, I haven't been on YouTube a whole lot listening, but I really haven't heard these two really go at each other a whole lot. Okay? Not lately. But she says a few things about Natasha, but not horrible. But she is basically talking about this situation, right? That it wasn't right. And she's being nice to voices. And so is CJ. And it sounds like what they're trying to do, and it is talk to who they thought was, you know, a friend, and explain to somebody why this isn't right, and trying to get them to see, you know, when you have somebody that is agitated, you're trying to get them to see why it's not right, you know, like, what if this was your daughter, or, you know, this person is not on social media, and just because, you know, their mother has done this to people that's not on social media, which is a fact, Natasha has, okay, to Granny's father who wasn't on social media, that you shouldn't do this. You absolutely shouldn't. You shouldn't say things like this. And not only that, but trying to give examples, right? About triggering, it can be a trigger to other women that, you know, that are pregnant. Because Voices has put it out there that she's never had children. And, you know, that wishing gestational diabetes is nothing like, you know, winning the lottery. They're, you know, just trying to get this through her head, but doing it in a nice way. Because you got to understand, they are what, friends? But still letting your friend know, because this is what you do with friends. This is real friendship, okay? Not this fake BS, I got to stay loyal to somebody. Real friends will let each other know, hey, I don't agree with what you said. That was wrong. And if you're a true friend, when you have a friend saying that to you, you will listen and look back and say, yeah, gosh, that was kind of horrible what I said, right? Kind of step back and say, whoa, what did I just say? And you can kind of, debate and be an adult about it. But yes, a real friend would come to you and say, you were out of line, and talk to you, but do it in a nice way, like Granny and CJ were doing. And some people in Natasha's chat were saying, CJ's scared of voices. And then somebody else said, CJ's scared of her own shadow. And somebody else said, I would be scared of her shadow too. Yeah, you guys are lovely chatters too. Okay? Very lovely. It sounded like to me that they were trying to get her to understand why this was wrong. You guys should have been, hey, these two women are trying to get this other one that did this horrible thing, said these horrible words to the person we're loyal to her daughter, even though they don't like us at all. They're standing up for this woman who is pregnant, right? But no, you guys don't give a shit. As long as you could take your jabs, this isn't about Natasha. This is about her daughter, her pregnant daughter, okay? This is who they're standing up for. So they're trying to talk to voices calmly. That's how you try to be an adult, and how you try to get someone to understand things, not by screaming and yelling and calling them bitches. That's not how it's done. But apparently that's not gonna work. And it didn't work. Okay? Voices has her mind set in stone on how she feels, how she wants to talk, and apparently this friendship everybody thought they had wasn't a friendship. That's how we see on social media and in these groups and on YouTube. These friendships, a lot of them aren't real. You can't go to somebody and say, hey, I don't agree with you, and not have them go off on you and say, some disgusting things like what she said to Jessica Lynn about, well, you have a felony and you're a single mom, so basically you're a piece of shit. And then call her the see you next Tuesday, and then drop off panel. I think she said a few other things too. So Natasha played that. And like I said, half of the chatters were in Natasha's thing were still calling Granny and CJ some few choice things. And I seen some that said, I actually agree with Granny on this one. And, she stood up to voices, and then still, some saying she's doing it for a reason or whatever. Like I said, there's no winning here. You try to do the right thing. I mean, she lost a friendship. And like I said in my last video, I don't know if they share subs. She could have lost some subs. And she did it because, she thought it was the right thing to do. Because she was, standing up. That was a place that, a boundary that she said she's not going to go there. She's just not going to go there. Now, Natasha made a comment earlier on that, she's not going to give Jessica Lynn any credit because she's terrorized her family for months. Now, I'm going to kind of compare some things. I know I'm going to leave some out because I don't watch all the videos. And people can chime in. They absolutely can on both sides. If they want to put in the comments what I left out, because I don't have anything in front of me, and well, it's not late at night, it's early in the morning now. We're going to do a little comparison, okay? To see who has done what in each other's lives, okay? When it's going after each other's family. Now, and I know I'll leave some out. So like I said, you can absolutely put stuff in comments. So as far as Granny going after Natasha, and like I said, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Absolutely. You can correct me. I've heard her mention Natasha's partner's name and make comments about him. People know how I feel about that, okay? Even though Natasha mentions his name all the time, I know she has mentioned her daughter's name, okay? And said a few things about her daughter. I don't think they were horrible. People can correct me if I'm wrong, but she's mentioned her daughter. That's the adult daughter. I think there was things said about that she knew that her mother had a record, criminal record, not sure. She had paperwork or whatever. She didn't put anything out, but said she had it, and had information on the family. I think that came from that Tammy, but she didn't put anything out. She has called Natasha names. She has body shamed Natasha. She has called her a scammer. She did call the news station, and if I'm not mistaken, that was after Natasha and her community called the probation officer. I might be mistaken on that, but she did do that. She has talked about the 20K. She has, let's see, she has, she started her channel to talk about Natasha. She said it's an awareness channel. Natasha says she named it after her grandmother, but Granny's watching said we know Natasha's grandmother. She doesn't call her Granny. She goes by another name. But Granny says it's an awareness channel, but her channel has evolved where she does other things. It's not all about Natasha now. I am really thinking hard. She has talked about Natasha's past, criminal past, addresses, all that stuff, which has already been put out there way before Granny came in, because it was put out there when when Natasha was first got her channel. She even put it out there. It was on her true crime. She did a video, and it was on her true crime channel when she was talking about it. What else? Granny did do a video talking about the casino. I know they were joking, but still talking about going to the casino where she was at. And that's after Natasha already put out what the name of it was. And we know that because I seen the video where she's driving and you can see the casino. You can see the name of the casino. And I know people were joking and it was a joke, but still, you know, that could be taken either way. I would need help. People, that's the only thing that I know. She's talked a lot of stuff about Natasha, okay? I know that. So, oh, she gave the journal to Lycan. Don't know where she got the journal from, but she gave the journal to Lycan on Natasha's niece. She did say the token B word, okay? So now we're going to go to Natasha. If I left anything out, people can put it in the comments. Natasha, wasn't she sent Granny's criminal records and put them out there? I'm not positive about that, but I don't think Granny, I know Granny said, you know, what she did, but if I'm not mistaken, people can also correct me if I'm wrong, put out exactly what she did. Okay, I don't think Granny did that. If I'm mistaken, they can let me know. Natasha got the information somehow and put out the picture of Granny from Facebook that was on her grandmother's Facebook profile or Facebook picture or whatever. That was Jessica's, and showed everybody. So that wasn't on YouTube. That wasn't public. She Googled and found a picture of Jessica Lynn with an ex-boyfriend. Showed that to everybody. She went in and got the information on Jessica Lynn's father and read that out for everybody. She got sent some pictures of Jessica Lynn's daughter, minor child, and she did a couple of lives discussing what her minor child looked like in a bathing suit. She also spoke on her daughter's mental health. I've heard that. I heard that clip. She showed everybody Jessica's medical records. Yes, tests are a part of your medical records. And she said she called the number to make sure that it was a real doctor's office. Her community, I don't know. I don't believe Natasha was a part of that. It was another creator, but her whole community mass reported, called the police on Jessica Lynn over Facebook pictures that Jessica Lynn showed way after her picture was showed. Natasha has body shamed Jessica Lynn. I mean, all the way down to her fingers. So she has went after her looks just as much as Jessica Lynn has went after Natasha's looks. Let's see what else. She has said that Jessica Lynn has lied about her cancer. She has talked and done multiple lives about Jessica Lynn's hoo-ha and about what it looked like because of false information that was put out there by Lycan. Oh, let's see. I know there's more. She had her community and herself mass report to Jessica Lynn's probation officer. Go in real life. Which could have, really caused a lot of issues. So, that's where I'm going to stop, because who's went real life and done a lot of harassing? I mean, that's a lot of real life stuff on Natasha's part. I could be wrong here. I could be. People can correct me. They absolutely can. Now, when you're just sitting there on YouTube and going at somebody, that's one thing. But when you're digging and Googling and calling probation officers and the police and, like I said, Lycan put the journal out. Okay? Just saying. I've already said before, in my last video, Jessica Lynn shouldn't have gave it to Lycan. She shouldn't. I already called that out in a video way back when it happened. But he put it out. Be mad at the person that put it out. But Natasha, she had pictures of Jessica Lynn's daughter and had to talk about what she looked like. She didn't have to do that. So, anyways, that's about all I can remember right now off the top of my head. I know there's probably more on both sides, but I mean, let's put those on a scale here, okay? Let's put it on a scale to see about, what is worse? What is worse? And then I did make a community post. This is not about Natasha. And I was listening a little bit to Lycan's. And I've stood up for Lycan. Oh, not only that, Natasha threatened to put out pictures of Granny. At the same time, she was, she didn't really say what it was, but it was, she was threatening to put out revenge porn on Lycan at the same time. So those pictures, to them could have meant, nudes of Jessica. Because it was the same live, right? So at that point in time, Jessica Lynn, she might not have known, if they were those pictures or not. So who knows? And Natasha was having a good old time, and so was her whole community, over Lycan's revenge porn and these pictures of whatever it was of Jessica Lynn throughout that entire live. But anyways, I was listening to Lycan's, and he seems to think, in my opinion, sticking up for voices on what she had to say, what she was saying. Only, in my opinion, because he's making jabs at Jessica Lynn the entire time. Now, it seems to me, this, again, this is just my opinion. It seems to me that Jessica Lynn, I don't know, she seems to be mellowing out a little bit more on some of her videos. On when she talks about Natasha, or when she talks about other people, on how she used to do. She said before that she's wanting to change, or she wanted to change how she did things. She just didn't want to be that way all the time and be so, I don't even know how to say it. And the way she explained it, and I know it's late and I'm tired. I'm really tired. She just did not want, you can't, say one person shouldn't be doing something if you're doing it. If you're doing it too. She's been saying that. She just didn't say it. That's what I'm saying, you know. When Natasha is saying she's got a motive, she's been saying that. You know, we're no better. If we keep doing the stuff that, you know, other people are doing, we're no better. She has been saying this. If people would have listened. It doesn't mean, you know, she's not going to talk about Natasha and say some things about Natasha. But she's not doing it like she used to do. And Natasha knows that. Her community might not know because they don't go over there to listen, they say. But see, she hasn't been doing a lot of videos about Natasha. That's a fact. And I think she said something about her numbers or her views are tanking. She's got to say that all the time. Everybody's tanking. Who gives a shit about views? It seems like Natasha's the only one that does. As long as she's got a strong community. Here's the thing. You can have a lot of people, a lot of views, a lot of people in your chat, right? And hardly any memberships or hardly any super chats. Or you can have a lot less views, a lot less people in your chat, but a lot more memberships and more people that are super chatting you because you have a stronger community. You have a stronger following, people that aren't, there's not such an overturn of people. So I don't see that when I'm looking, I don't see the overturn or the turn, whatever you want to call it, with Granny's people. You know, some people come and go, that happens. But it seems like she has a very strong, the people have been there for a long time. Some people may have left. They might go with someone else. But she doesn't have to have 400 or 500 people watching her. Because, you know, a lot of those people in Natasha's chat might be hate watchers. Ever are, you know, ready to clip things, right? That doesn't mean jack. Or they go in afterwards to do the same, to clip things. Or, you know, to watch and see what was said. I mean, if you're doing it for money, then, like I said, if you have a stronger community of people that are there and they have those memberships, those strong memberships, and they do those super chats, it's the quality over quantity any day of the week. I don't even know if that made sense. Like I said, I am tired. But who cares about the views? But back to Lycan. In my opinion, he was just taking an opportunity to take his digs at Granny. You know, because to him, a lot of stuff that's said are only words. You know, it does not matter. And as low as voices went about Natasha's daughter, in my opinion, he was just okay with it. It's like, it's okay. And he said about, and it had to have been about Granny and CJ, because they were the only other two on panel. He said, I hope those people die a miserable death. And then he said, I hope they get mangled in a car accident. And he's like, yeah, I said it. I'm just wondering who's going to call that out. Is anybody on Natasha's side going to call it out? I know no one in I mean, there's outrage all over in these YouTube streets. People calling stuff out. But what about those words? Because, you know, people in Lycan's community, that some of the people that have channels, if Granny would have said that about Lycan, or if Granny would have said that about Natasha, or about anybody else, or if CJ would have said it about anybody else, or, you know, it would have been called out by, you know, people that have channels in Lycan's community. Yeah, you know you would have. If Natasha would have said that about, you know, Lycan, if Natasha would have said that about, you know, other people, Lycan's people would have called it out. Other people would have called it out. If Lycan would have said that about anybody in Natasha's community, I don't even know if I said this yet, Natasha would have been screaming for everybody to call it out, right? She would want everybody in this drama circle to call it out. But if you did call it out, then she would be saying, oh, well, you're just doing it to look good. So why even bother? So I'm just saying, you know, if we're going to call it out all the way around. Even if you're loyal to the person, you should be calling it out. Granny did. Granny did it to her friend. She lost a friend. I don't know how close of friends they were, but she did. And like I said before, too, I don't know if they shared subs. I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that liked both Granny and Voices. So are they going to have to choose now on who they go with? Are they going to have to make that choice? Do I stay with Granny? Do I stay with Voices? Do I have to make a choice here now on who I go with? Don't know. But that's what happens, and that's what, I mean, that's what she chose to do. So was that her motive, was to lose subs, Natasha? So with that, I'm going to go. I had to do this back-to-back video because, you know, I'm thinking to myself when I listen to Natasha's video, I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? You know, people did what you asked. Some did it even before you asked. And then when you do it, you're saying, well, they just did it to save face or make themselves look better. Well, then, why even bother? Why even bother? Because we all know that you sure the hell are not going to call anybody out unless it benefits you or unless it's somebody in your community. You're not, because you don't. You don't. You never have, and you never will. Are you going to call Lycan out for what he just said about Granny and CJ? Is anybody in your community going to call it out for what he said? He wished death. Literally wished death on Granny and CJ. And then hoped that they got mangled in a car wreck. But wait, they're just words, right? Just words. Let's see if anybody in Natasha's community calls it out. Let's see if anybody else in, you know, any of the communities that don't like Granny or CJ, let's see if they call it out. I know some that are just neutral might call it out. But let's see if anybody else does. I don't think so. Because you're too loyal. Those words are okay. Those words are okay because you're loyal to Lycan, right? You're loyal. That's why I'm so glad I am not loyal to anybody. I'm not. I can call it out as I see it. If I see it, I can call it out. Because no, this loyalty, I mean, use your own brain. Seriously, get some morals. If you don't feel like it's right, if you wouldn't say it yourself, if you would not like it said to you, then how can you condone it being said by someone that you call a friend? Or would you not go to that person and say, that wasn't right to say? You know, you might not like the person, but to wish that on them, that's like, you know, wishing what was just wished on Natasha's daughter. But worse, because death was just wished on Granny and CJ. I mean, double standards here, guys. That's how it's always been, right? Double standards. We'll see after I release this tomorrow night, over the weekend. I'm not going to look too much because I'm going to enjoy my weekend. I'm going to enjoy it. I've been doing a lot of work, doing a lot of different things besides looking at YouTube. But I'm going to see at the end of the weekend, to see who calls it out. We'll see. I bet you it won't be anybody in Lycan's community. I bet you nobody in Natasha's community will call it out. I'll see if I'm wrong. But I'm going to go. I'm getting really sleepy now. I do hope everybody has a good weekend. And yes, I don't want to do another behavior video this weekend. I got better things to do. So everyone have a great one, and we'll talk to you later.